Welcome back to the Writing Corner. My name is LD Valencia, author, independent author, podcaster, teacher. We're continuing this series where we're going to be talking about the different ways you can kickstart idea creation and generation of your writing. So today we're going to talk about remixing. There's a lot of really fun YouTube videos and TED Talks about remixing, so I'll link those down below. One of the famous ones that comes to my mind when I think about remixing is the Gray album. Danger Mouse took the Black album from the Jay-Z and the Beatles' White album, smash it together, boom, you have a remix. And so I want to take this idea as an author and kind of expand upon it and hopefully give us a new idea of how we can use this for our own writing. We kind of live in a time where retellings are really, really popular. There are a lot of retellings in the bookish space, a lot of new books that are coming about where it's a retelling of a very classic tale and they take a new spin on it, whether that be gender swapping characters, taking the setting and spinning it and putting it in a new place, right? Instead of maybe fantasy, it's now a space opera setting. So it can be as simple as remixing certain elements of the story, or it can be as grand as taking elements of different works of fiction and kind of blending them together into something new. But this idea of remixing is really, really common. You have it a lot in the music space, but kind of talking about in more of the literary space as well, right? So when you're remixing, you're taking different elements of different things and you're kind of putting those together. There's the great quote from, I think it's Pablo Picasso was attributed to it, but I've also heard that we don't know that he said it. But the quote is, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So this idea of kind of taking different elements of other stories, other books, and kind of blending them together into one unified thing, right? Henry Ford is said to have quoted, I invented nothing new. I simply assembled the discoveries of other men behind whom there was centuries of work. So there's a lot of stories that are retold. There's a lot of themes that are retold from all different walks of life, different faiths, different cultures, and kind of like blending those together can be a really fun way of creating something new for your storytelling. Some comp titles, some books that are kind of known for being kind of like remixes, in my opinion. Um, the Expanse. I've heard a lot of people kind of call that Game of Thrones, but in space. There's Spinning Silver by Naomi Novich, which is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. Circe is a really popular book right now by Madeline Miller, and it's a retelling of the Odyssey, right? So there's a lot of different retellings and remixes that you can kind of draw on as maybe like not necessarily inspiration, but kind of see, oh, this is something that is done a lot, right? And one of the things I love to do is in my own writing, kind of blend different genres of writing and kind of blend them together into something new, right? So my book series, my first book series is The Gifted World, and it's kind of a blend of superheroes and secret agents. So I took two things that I really love that aren't really that similar, but I kind of put it together in a way that I thought was really fun and unique. So I took kind of like the My Hero Academia setting with like the Superhero Academy and kind of blended it with the kind of Mission Impossible spin. There's other books that have done it really, really well too, like the Gunslinger series by Stephen King. It's a blend of like Western, paranormal with a lot of different fantasy elements in, and Stephen King kind of blended together in this really unique story. So like it is something that is very common. That's something that's done a lot and it's a way that I think is a really fun way to kind of generate story ideas if you are kind of looking for some new things. So the idea really is just take two different concepts, two different things, and mix and match things together. Take, story A idea, but instead of fantasy, make it more of sci-fi. If you have an element for like this kind of story or inspiration from a different work or movie, kind of blending those things together, and maybe instead of being an all male cast, maybe it's an all female cast, or maybe you blend together different elements from story C and story D and kind of make that kind of like new, unique retelling of something with your own spin on it, right? They say we are kind of a genealogy of ideas, in the same way that you're a combination of the genes and the traits and the different things that are passed down from you. Artistically, you are a combination of the different ideas that you grew up reading and loving and the stories you were told and the shows you watched. All those things kind of combine to make your ideas and your storytelling techniques very much you. So even though you might have an idea that's like another book series, the way you would tell it could be very different than a way somebody else might tell it. There's a really cool author named Austin Kleon, and you may have heard of him. He has this book where he took these poems that were literally just newspaper scraps The story is that he was writing for a journal or something and couldn't come up with ideas, having major writing block. And he looked over at the recycling bin and he saw these newspapers. So he took them out and started circling words, boxing out others, crossing out certain words, and he came up with these really unique pictures that are poems. By crossing out all certain words and leaving certain ones visible, he took a headline and some phrases, and now you have this unique take on something. And so, this idea of remixing can be something very, very powerful and something really, really unique. And kind of reiterating the point that I have, the book that he has of these things is called Steal Like an Artist. And kind of this idea, he actually has a notebook, which I'll recommend as well. It's really, really fun, and I'll link that down below. He kind of pushes the idea and has this notebook that you can kind of use to help you come up with these ideas and, again, steal like an artist. So I really hope you will use this. I hope you will dive into this idea of remixing and taking different ideas, different elements of different stories to create something really new and unique with the voice that only you can. You will tell it in a different way based off of your experiences, based off your loves, your interests, your themes that are really important to you. You'll tell it in a much different way than me or another author could. So I hope you guys will use this idea in your writing, and I'd love to hear down below if this is a technique or something you have done or might want to do. And I'll catch you guys next time in the Writing Corner.